The four horsemen of the apocalypse have fascinated readers of the Bible since the first century when the book of Revelation was written. Those four horsemen speak to a time when false religion, war, food shortages, inflation, pestilence, disease, and pandemics plagued the earth before the return of Jesus Christ. The Bible says that because of these four horsemen, 1/4 of the earth will be killed. 1/4. That's almost 2 billion people. Revelation boldly states that this book, this prophecy of the end time, was given by God the Father himself to Jesus Christ, and then on to the faithful apostle John, who recorded it for us so that we may understand what it will be like in the end times. But Revelation isn't the first time the end times are spoken of. Jesus Christ's disciples asked him about the end times, and here's what he answered them in Matthew 24, which is commonly called the Olivet prophecy. In verse 4 of Matthew 24, he says, Jesus answered and said to his disciples, "Take heed that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name saying, 'I'm the Christ,' and will deceive many." So the first sign he gave of the end times is that many will be deceived by someone claiming to represent him. It's interesting that there is a church on earth today that calls itself Christian, and its leader is called the Vicar of Christ. That phrase literally means instead of Christ, implying he is equal to Christ. Interesting. In light of what Christ says and what we will discuss later about this end-time religious leader who will deceive the whole world. Going on in Matthew 24 and verse 6, Christ says, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you're not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places." He painted the picture of what would happen as the time of the end and his return to earth would occur. The four horsemen of Revelation describe the exact same thing as Christ said here. We'll talk about all four of those horsemen in upcoming episodes and the devastating effect they have on humanity as they take their rides. But today we'll look at just the first horseman, the horseman of false religion. Now, can I encourage you to subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss out on this very important information that God reveals to us? So let's go ahead and look at this first horseman. We find it described in Revelation 6, verses 1 and 2. There it says, "Now when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard one of the four living creatures saying with a voice like thunder, 'Come and see.' And I looked, and behold, a white horse. He who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went out conquering and to conquer." In the Bible, white often refers to religion. Later on in the book of Revelation, we read of those who obey God as being clothed in white garments. So this white horse represents a religion that will dominate the earth in the end time. Now, some confuse this horseman with Christ, who later in the book of Revelation does return to earth on a white horse. But that is after all these end-time events prophesied by the four horsemen and seven seals of Revelation are unveiled. What mankind brings upon itself in the end time is near total destruction of human life. Christ returns on a white horse to save the earth and mankind from utter destruction. But this first horseman on a white horse is not Christ. It represents a false religion that deceives people into thinking it's of Christ, just as Christ said in Matthew 24. Think about that for a moment. What can be more deceptive than someone coming in the name of Christ, but teaching something different than what Christ taught? For more info on this rider of the white horse and why he depicts false religion, use the QR code that you see to the left of your screen, and it will take you to more in-depth information that you can review. But here, let me speak about false religion and this false prophet who rides the earth, conquering it and dominating it in the end time. That coming religion won't be Christianity as the world knows it today. It will be completely different than what we know now, and it will require worship of a man, idols, and a system. It won't be of God, it will be of Satan, who is the father of lies and deception. Notice these prophetic scriptures that we find in the book of Daniel, Daniel chapter 11. In verses 36 to 39, we find a description of this end-time leader who sees himself as God. In verse 36, it says, "Then the king shall do according to his own will. He will exalt himself and magnify himself above every god. He'll speak blasphemies against the God of gods, and he will prosper till the wrath has been accomplished." You see, he will say he is a God. He wants people to worship him, not the true God. In fact, he speaks lies and blasphemies against God. He's not a follower of Jesus Christ, even though he may claim to be. He follows his will, not God's will. Let's go on in verses 37 and 38, where it says, "He shall regard neither the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any god, for he shall exalt himself above them all. But in their place he shall honor a god which his fathers did not know." So this future religious leader and king will honor a God not ever known before, a new religion, perhaps a mixture of all beliefs on earth. And look at the comment that he won't regard the desire of women. Will he be gay or transgender or some other alternative lifestyle? We do live in a time when all these alternative sexual lifestyles are being promoted and applauded. And let's look at the reach and power of this new religion. In verse 39, it says, "Thus he shall act against the strongest fortresses with a foreign god, which he shall acknowledge and advance its glory. And he shall cause them to rule over many and divide the land for gain." That religion will rule over many and conquer many. The whole world, as it says in Revelation 13, of this religious leader, and he will impose his will on you. There is a church today that calls itself Christian that has, in effect, created new religions by sanctioning pagan religions as it conducted its missions around the world. This church mixed some of those pagan beliefs and rituals with some of what you find in the Bible and then called it Christian. That's something called syncretism, and let me tell you, it is not of God. In fact, it is contrary to what God says. Let's look at his very words that we find back in Deuteronomy 12 and verses 30 to 32. There he specifically says, "Take heed to yourself that you are not ensnared, and that you do not inquire after their gods, saying, 'How did these nations serve their gods? I will also do likewise.' God says, 'You shall not worship the Lord your God in that way. For every abomination to the Lord which he hates, they've done to their gods. Whatever I command you,' God says, 'be careful to observe it. You shall not add to it, nor take away from it.'" That's a pretty simple command. God says exactly how to worship and follow him. Just do what he says. But the Catholic Church, as it went into pagan lands, didn't follow that precept. They didn't teach the truth, but they combined elements of pagan worship and gods into their religion and then call it Christianity. In a way, they created a new religion. No longer the Bible-based religion and way of life God and Jesus Christ taught, but the way of man, combining the truth of the Bible with pagan ideas and practices. They did it in Rome, mixing biblical concepts with the pagan festivals of Saturnalia and Venus. And they created Christmas and Easter and called them Christian holy days. It was a new religion. It wasn't of God. It's a false religion. They did it in Africa and South America too, with the Aztecs and Incas. And interestingly, they did it in Haiti too. With Haiti and Haitian culture being in the news these days, more are examining the religion practiced there and their way of life that some say is now being practiced in America. Look at this quote from ConnollyCove.com. It says, "Voodoo A religion rich with complexity and often shrouded in mystique is a fundamental aspect of Haitian culture and spiritual practice. While it has been sensationalized and misunderstood, its deep historical roots lie in the blending of African religious traditions carried to Haiti by enslaved people with indigenous European influences, particularly Roman Catholicism. This syncretism, remember that word? This syncretism formed a unique religious tapestry that echoes through the practices and beliefs of voodoo. It was a blending of religions to create a new religion that is nothing, absolutely nothing like the Bible. It's a false religion. Notice something else that website notes about the practice of this blended religion. Voodoo rituals typically commence with a Roman Catholic prayer before converting into a vibrant tapestry of drummers, dancing, song, and sometimes animal sacrifice. These practices are designed to honor their false god and to invite them to possess the bodies of participants in a profound act of spiritual engagement. My friends, that is inviting demons to inhabit you. Do you see what the Catholic Church did here? They condone and mix pagan customs, then put their name on it. A church that does this, and which has done it throughout history, is absolutely not the true church. It is false religion that is deceiving many all over the world. The true church of God speaks exactly the truth of the Bible, not adding to it or taking away from it. It does not embrace pagan practices or the ways of the world. A false church transgresses the Word of God and mixes paganism with some of the Bible. When you mix truth and error, you only have error and falsehood, and you end up with a religion of demons that is anti-God and anti-Christ. This coming religious system already has its roots in the world. This horseman has already been riding on the earth, but in the end time, his ride will intensify, and this rider of the white horse will want his religion to rule the world. In Revelation 13, verses 6 to 8, it says of this false leader, "Then he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven. It was granted to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And authority was given him over every tribe, tongue, and nation. All who dwell on the earth will worship him, whose names have not been written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world." You may be told that this coming one-world religion is of Christ, maybe even saying that its leader is Christ, or in place of him, the vicar of Christ. Do you want your name written in the book of life? Then don't believe or fall for that lie. Jesus Christ will return to save the world from this deceptive leader and system that would destroy the earth. When he returns, the Bible says this false prophet will be thrown into the lake of fire. Then, under Christ's rule, the true truth and way of life will be taught. Living by the words of God in the Bible, peace, truth, and joy will replace the world of division, hate, lies, and autocracy, which will dominate the earth in the end time. You can live that way of peace, hope, and life now. There is so much more to talk about this horseman and what is coming on this earth. Use the QR code that you see on your screen or find us at ucg.org/whitehorse. We're here to help you know the truth and find peace and truth in these troubled times. And remember, subscribe so you don't miss an episode and leave us a comment.